if only my daughters were here to hear that. They think I'm a nerd.
And we've got 6 wines to pour for you guys tonight that he so graciously shared. Thank you for sharing them with us. We're going to range from whites to his Viognier, his Pinot Noir, to his Caps, to his Cab Franc. Very, very, very cool wines, amazing wines. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you for your time. And I'll hand it over to you if you want to say anything before we get started.
I mean, maybe we should pour the Viognier.
Yeah.
Pour the Viognier.
Talk about my life.
Yes.
And I let's make this an interactive experience. I would love to have questions. But my wine world starts at a very young age. I mean, the first things I remember are glasses of very sweet Riesling hitting the table when I was about 5 years old, and trying these things and thinking that they were wonderful. My father was, he did a postdoctorate in Heidelberg in Germany, and had a major professor that was totally enamored by German wines, and for the rest of his life he acquired German wines, kept them in that little space underneath the stairs where Harry Potter is supposed to live.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes those bottles would open by themselves on hot days. He was not a great collector by any way, shape, or form, but was a wine lover. And my first real encounter with wine and knowing that I would want to work with wine, I was in Paris when I was 9 years old, and I was in a bistro called Le Précope that's been around since the 17th century, and I ordered a glass of milk, and the waiter looked at me and said, "Milk is for babies." Brought out a glass of wine.
Wow.
And that glass of wine really changed my life. It made me realize that if I wanted to be an adult, which every 9-year-old kid wants to be, then you have to somehow follow this beverage. And I visited a bunch of wineries on that trip, and it was really the same story. In that era, you would come to a winery in France, and you would ring a bell outside, and I mean, this was the 70s. So you would ring a bell outside, and people would come out of the vineyard, and I mean, they looked like, you know, people,
hippies.
Yeah, they looked like hippies. In the best
Thank
possible
you.
way. In my favorite
Been
way.
there.
Yeah. And you would taste more wines than you could ever imagine on an upturned barrel in a cellar, somewhere in a smelly, dirty cellar somewhere. And I thought, these people have great lives. They work outside. They have dogs. You know, you're 9 years old, you want a dog.
Of course.
And they all live in these 15th century chateaus that they've inherited. So thus far, I'm 2 out of 3. And according to the great song, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
With any luck, you'll have a dog soon.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
He's got a dog.
I'm doing it proud. We've never come from money, and we just loved wine, and it was a great expense to buy property in Napa Valley. It's not the cheapest place to buy land.
Really?
And it doesn't. It's not getting worse. Yeah.
And what year was it that you bought the property?
2004, we bought the property, and now it's. I mean, the property has changed dramatically. I have to say, in 2017, I bought 125 more acres to add to this. And then some of you may have heard that we have neighbors, the most wonderful neighbors you could possibly have, named Steve Legier and Carol Meredith. And Legier Meredith has been making incredible wines since 1999 was their first commercial vintage. And Steve and Carol have decided that they don't want to make wine anymore, but they want to stay on their property. So they've gifted the property to my daughters.
Wow.
Go girls.
Just recently we bought the property that separated our two properties. So now we have 360 contiguous acres on top of Mount Veeder and a whopping 9.5 planted acres of vineyards.
Oh, wow.
Just vineyard.
That's good. Do it.
We decided to go with pot art as the final name. And this is an unusual part of my vineyard because it's the lowest section of the property. It's 1,450 feet above sea level. And it's a it's the only north-facing section of vineyard that I have. But it also goes deeply into an old-growth redwood forest. And we have 3 trees in this forest that are over 200 feet tall and almost 1,000 years old. So it's an extraordinary piece of California history, if you would.
Would.
I see what you did there.
Wow.
And the redwood trees create their own weather. They essentially grab the moisture out of the fog and create rain to water themselves, which is a very clever plan. But it also makes for a little fog that hangs over this vineyard in the morning. And so the rest of my vineyard is above this section. And when I organic, it's never seen any chemical agriculture on the whole property since the dawn of time. So we've never had any other agriculture on the property. So we've had no chemical agriculture on the property. So it's a really rare occasion having converted properties in France to biodynamics. You're working against years and years of bad chemical agriculture, and it's very difficult. But so this is a property that's never had any of that. And for those of you that are making wine in California, yes, I hear you, dog. For those of you that are making wine in California, if you're not growing grapes organically, you should just get out of the business because it's the easiest place to grow organic grapes.
Really? Aaron, do you host people up there, visitors to you?
I do host visitors up there, yeah.
I've been there. It's nice.
Yes. Johnny has been there. Daisy's been there.
So, Aaron, do you have a particular fascination with Viognier?
Thaddeus, I do have a fascination with Viognier. Yeah,
I was just wondering why you chose that grape.
I mean, both dry and sweet, and I think it's a wonderful variety. And I think it's been maligned in the last few years. I mean, mainly it's been maligned, and deservedly so, because I think it's terrible in oak. A lot of people put it in new oak, and it tastes like some sort of shampoo.
Soapy.
Yeah, soapy and bitter, and people press it too hard, and it becomes very bitter. And what I love about it is it has a wonderful floral character. It has a wonderful fruit character.
Yes.
The white flowers.
Yeah, the honeysuckle, white flowers, the peach, the apricot. I mean, it's wonderful. And this is it's kept on its leaves through its whole élevage, whatever you call that in English, aging process. It's kept on its leaves, and it gets a little flint character by being a very reductive winemaking process. So
You said no mallet on this, right?
no mallet. Yeah, we block the mallet.
Okay, so, and one more
The
question.
leaves, you
So-
can taste it.
Your friends was planting Syrah, and a lot of times in the Rhone, they put Syrah and Viognier together.
Yes.
So is the soil type for Syrah acceptable to plant in Viognier in the same soil?
Yes, in this case, yes. It's the soils up there are sandstone and shale, and we live on the side of a volcano, but there's no volcanic rock on the whole property, and it's some of the oldest soils in Napa Valley, 60 million year old soils. and they've been uplifted. Their seafloor, cold seafloor, that's been brought in from the Pacific Ocean and then uplifted by the Pacific Plate subducting under the North American Plate.
Thank you.
Very, very cool.